Now after you've finished putting a background of sky like this one on the back of the elevation layer, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to add a flooring, and then we're going to add some PNG files of trees and people walking around or maybe sitting. So let's go with the first step that we're going to do. Let's put a paving right above the floor of this building. Let's open the original elevation file that we worked on, like this one. This is the original file of the elevation PSD that we're doing here. After we've done opening the original elevation file, select the ground layer. Select the ground layer like this one. I think it has selected a more unnecessary editing, so just select the area that you need of the floor. Then after you've done selecting the floor area, go to the new layer option right besides the delete tool, create new layer. Then you've got a new layer like this one, layer 2. Let's rename it. First say I'll name it a paving 1. So in this paving layer, first fill this area with a certain color. If you fill this area, after you've done filling this area with any kind of color, then you need to go to the blending option here. When you have done going through the blending option, go to pattern overlay and select the pattern, the scale, then press OK. After you've completed your scaling, you've obtained an image like this one. So it all depends on scaling, so you could always go back here and choose the appropriate scale that you need of the tile. If you increase this bar, the scale would increase like you're seeing in the screen. If you decrease it, it would go by. So keep it intact in your desired area. After you've selected the paving, turn off the layer of the elevations. You have a clear background here. Then go to file, save as, and save this image as a PNG file. Now the PNG has to be of a certain name, so I just named it as a tile texture 1. So in this tile texture 1, I'll save this image, then the image is saved. Once this image is saved as a PNG, go back to the original PNG file, then open the image, open the tile texture image. Once you've done opening the image, select the area with the marquee tool. Select the area with the marquee tool, copy it, Ctrl C, then go back to the elevation and you paste the area. Now after you pasted the area, when you've selected this area, paste it. You have a certain pasting of this layer. I think so. Copy the texture, just fill the texture, Then after you've received the texture here, bring it down and scale it. Control T, hold on to Control T, then release Control T, you'll have this image. Go to the perspective section, and then after you've selected the perspective section, just right click it, you have the perspective tool. You could always go back and choose any kind of scaling that you want, but right now we're going through with perspective. Select the perspective option and then click on the topmost layer. Click on the topmost layer in perspective and then squeeze it inwards. When you squeeze it inwards, you can see that this image is being scaled in a perspective view. I think this is the desired view that we are trying to achieve. Now once your desired scaling is done, just press enter, then you have a scaled paving. Now it's in a perspective view. Similarly, you could add other layers, other areas. You could add similar kind of walls with the same procedure, using image as a texture and then bring it as an image, then rescaling it with perspective view, so you have achieved some kind of a view like this. Now this is the second part of this tutorial that we're doing. Now the third part we're going to do is of the section. After you've completed this rendering, save it in the PSD format and then save it as a JPEG. I'm going to the JPEG format. I'll save it as a JPEG also. I'll just simply name it anything that I like. But before that, before saving it, let's do one more thing. Let's add some images in this picture. Let's add a tree. You could go back, open the file where you've stored your tree. Here I have some samples of the trees. I think I'm going to use this tree over here. Simply open this tree, copy this tree. This is a PNG file, guys, so it has no background. Like you are seeing this black and white checkers, it has no background. Select this kind of image and bring it back here. Paste the image. I think the selection is not done. Let's go back. You just select this area, copy this area, then we go back and keep it in a desired section that you want. So keep it, remember to keep it above the elevation layer. So this wall color is the elevation layer, that's why I'm putting the layer before this one. When you have selected the wall elevation layer, just paste this tree. So you have a, if the scale is not correct, it would come like this one. It's not a big deal. So you could always go to navigator. If you don't have navigator, go to Windows and just hold on to navigator section and then just open the section that you desire. Select this portion and then rescale it according to your drawing. When you've done rescaling it according to the drawings, hold on to shift, guys, because if you don't hold to shift, the image will be scaled unproportionately. So if you want the drawing, the image of the tree or any kind of image to be in scale, hold to shift and then transform it. This transforming is being done with Control T, the transform tool. So once you've done with transforming your tree, You have this tree right here. Find this tree here. Then it's simple and easy. The tree is already copied. Now this tree, if you have to add some kind of shadow effect to this tree, now it's really easy to add shadows. What you need to do is we just need to make a copy of this tree layer. So when the area of this tree is selected, select the pixels of the tree that you need to add shadows. Select the pixels. Then what you do, you just go and copy it. Control Z copies the same layer. You have the same layer like this one, layer 6. You name it as a shadow layer. What you guys find is this tree is right overlapping the original tree. So we need to make this tree as a shadow. So doing this, we have to first of all select the layer of this shadow pixel, select the pixels of the shadow layer, then go back to the image, go to the adjustments, and then here you can make it simply black and white. Okay, now simply the image is turned into a black and white image. Let's not do it black and white, let's desaturate it, because turning it black and white may make us difficult to go back with other kind of effects. So we could always go to hue and saturations. Or you could just go with black and white. Yeah, this seems fine enough. Once this black and white kind of shade is obtained, we have to transform it. Hold on to Control T and then just right click the image. You have this options over here. Here select flip vertical. If you flip it vertically, apply the transformation, then you have the imaging like this one. But this is right besides the tree, but it's coming of the same scale. We don't need to make the shadow big. So what we do is we just simply Control T transform it. Then you make more squeeze type of shadow. Okay, now once you've obtained this shadow over here, go back to the shadow layer, go to the blending options, and what you have to do is you have to decrease the opacity of this image. Now here, as you can see, if you decrease the opacity, this image is having a shaded faded type of look. I think 77%. Yeah, this is giving a fine texture of the shadow. If you need the shadow to be in the perspective type of layer, it's not a big deal. Hold when selecting this layer, press Ctrl T, then you have the transform tool. When it's transformed, choose perspective or distort. So right now we're going with perspective view. So you could just drag the perspective like this. I think this perspective view is fine enough. After you've done with the shadows, go back, then you have a more clear image like this one. So I think this can do for now. If you want to add some people, you could always add people. You could add realistic looking people. You could add just a black and white kind of people. You have a collection of people Let's open this one. But as you can see here, you have a lot of background over here. So simply, let's select this girl over here. Copy it. Go back to the PSD document. Then what you can do is you can just simply paste the girl over here. It's no matter that it has this girl has a white background, because we could always delete the background. Let's scale it according to the drawing. If you want this effect to this girl to be coming right from the door, I think this view is okay because the girl's scale is fine enough. Yeah, I think this scale is good enough to work on. After you've done adding the people, what you can do is you could just delete the undesired area outside from it. If the image has a more distinct kind of shadows and linings, you won't have any difficulty. But as you can see that this girl here has so after deselecting the undesired areas that you need to crop on, simply delete the areas not needed. Then you have a PNG file of this girl. If you want to add shadow of the same, you could do the same process like this we did for the tree. If you're practicing good enough, because this all depends on your handwork. Let's make a copy of this girl. Select the pixel. We just go to the adjustment, make it black and white. Okay, now and after it's selected here, you could transform it, flip it horizontal, flip it vertical. When you're selecting the pixels, because uh, when we're working with people, the image would show the reflection of the people like they are in the original picture. It will also show the texture of the clothes, glasses, or any else. So you have to be careful. And one another trick is that we could always refill it with another color. Let's select a more darker color for our ease. You could use the fill tool, or for my ease I use the brush tool. This is also a very handy tool to work on. So I added a more darker image to this shadow. So once the shadow is darken up, let's go to the blending option. What we do is we just decrease the opacity over here. And once the opacity is decreased of our desired layer, let's bring the original girl layer on top. Then you have a shadow of the girl on below it. So this is creating a more uh, depth to this imaging. Similarly, you could add any kind of textures, any kind of images in your drawings. Save your drawing and save it as a JPEG file. Now, after this is completed, let's open a section of any of the same drawing that we're doing. Now let's coming back to the section rendering. Obtain an image of the section just like the one shown in the screen. Once you've selected this image, make the copy of the layer, name it section copy or anything you like. After you've done naming the layer, let's go back. Let's make it more dramatic because sections need to be more clear. If you guys, here I have some hatching, so it may be difficult for me. It may take some time for me to obtain a more clear render, but I'll try my best. So I'm using marquee tool because my section is not clear enough, so it's just adding a bit time for me, but it's okay. Select desired areas like this one, and you could deselect your undesired area. It's very easy once you've got the hold of it. And guys, after you've done selecting all of your areas of the walls, just the cut walls to be exact, so I've selected all of the desired cut walls that I want to show here. Using all of these cut walls, I think I missed some part here, so it's not much of a bigger deal. I could simply add it. Then after done selecting, just make a copy of the layer. When you made the copy of your walls, rename it as wall. Now select the pixels, then use blending options. Go to color overlay and use black because it gives more of a dramatic kind of feel to the building. So once adding black, okay, now you can find that the building has more feel to it, because after you've selected all of the required areas and you've filled the walls with the darker color like you've shown, then we can go to the next step. Now what I need you guys to do is you just select any kind of internal area that is seen here. For the sample here, I'm going to select the upper floor in the areas. So go to the original section copy here, then select the desired areas. Using the magic wand tool, you could select the areas very easily using this tool, using this both tool, uh, you could either add a different color to this wall, a different color to this wall, because it is the lobby wall, so you guys can work on it in your own. It doesn't matter. Now after you have selected the areas, just make a copy of the walls. You make a copy, Control Z, just make a copy of this required area, select the pixels, then you have a new layer. Rename it like before. And then we go to blending options, color overlay like before, fill it with any kind of desired color. Then we have a view like this one. After you've finished coloring your inner wall, you could color other wall areas like this one similarly, but for now we'll move on to the next editing process. Now for the shading part, you guys can see a window opening right over here. So what I want to do is I want to create an impression of sunlight coming through this window. So how we do it, it's really easy, just a matter of touches with polygonal lasso tool. So what you need to do, go back to the section copy layer, use the polygonal lasso, then you just mark your desired area where you want the lights to be. After you've done selecting your area of light, create a new layer. Create a new layer like this one. Now a new layer has been created. First of all, fill this area with any kind of color. You could just fill the area with a desired color. You'd go with the similar shading, or you could choose a bit of a darker color. Choose any kind of color. Let's choose a bit lighter shade of this one. You'd go choose a lighter shade. Now as you can see, this area is being given the lighting, but it doesn't have the similar kind of effect. So what we need to do is we have to go to the blending options here for this lighting, then go to the gradient overlay. In this option you could change the color of the gradient. When this gradient overlay is highlighted, just you could change the color of this gradient. Choose any color that you like. Now is choosing a bit of a darker color, but we could go and choose a lighter shade like this one. It's a similar kind of shading. I think this one's perfect. I think this kind of shading is okay for now. Now you could add your angle, desired angle, from where you want the gradient to appear. I think this kind of shading is okay, but I want to go with a bit of a darker shade. So you could just play around, play with colors, play with gradients. You could find desired shade. Here we have the blending overlay. This From this you can add shadows like this one. If you are going to decrease the opacity, you could also decrease, you could work with the colors. You could choose an even darker tone or shade. Now, after you've done coloring your internal areas, you could just fill up the details like I've shown you in the screen. Now we added a lighting effect in the upper airflow. Similarly, just add another lighting effect where you have a section of window like this one, and simply add patterns and colors to the desired areas like this. Now in this way we have rendered a section view of an AutoCAD image. Now if you want to know more about dropping people, making an entourage of people, you could just simply download any kind of images from the net like this one. For example, if you don't have a PNG file, this black and white kind of image will also do. If I need a person sitting like this one, or if I need let's say this woman here, I'll just simply drag it. I'd copy the image, then I'll take the image and paste it over the desired layer. Now as you can see that the image has a white background, so simply delete the white background. Now you've got a PNG file, and before scaling, remember, first select the pixels of the file. You could just select it by marquee tool then right click it in this part. Then you have an option over here saying convert to smart object. After you converted it into a smart object, you can see it has been transformed. So now if you scale this PNG file, its property won't be disturbed. So we just scale it area that we are according to the area that we have here. I think this scaling is okay for now. After we've done scaling, just press enter. Now if your image is not showing, it means that your image has been overlaid or overlapped by another layer. Simply drag your layer upwards to the desired part. Now let's name it woman. So this woman is going to be standing over here. I think the scale is quite enough. If we want to check it, we'll always check it, rescaling it. So we could increase the height a bit. Now I think this one's appropriate. Either place it like the woman's going to step down, or you could just simply flip it. Like the woman was coming upstairs. Like the woman just arrived here. Simply adding people would also mean that you're showing the scale of the drawing. So if you need to make your drawing more accurate or more lively, you could do the rendering like this one. Now in this way we have obtained our desired image. Now what I would like you guys to do is continue with this image rendering. You could delete the background, add a desired background, and just add a desired trees and walls to this drawing. Save your image. Do remember to save it in the PSD format, and also save it as a JPEG format for your ease. Okay guys, so concludes this concludes our lecture for part 2. Now I'll be giving you similar videos in the next lecture. So for now, practice this Photoshop tricks and you'd get your desired kind of image editing. So for now, I think I would like to stop the lecture, and then I want you guys to provide me with your assignments in due time. Thank you.